How's it going, everybody? Today we are going to make a new free Ableton Live pack in the style of plucks. Plucks is my latest Ableton Live pack that I've released. It's also available for Logic Pro as well. It's a collection of 50 short synthesized pluck sounds. These are almost like strings getting plucked. And you're hearing one of those sounds now. And I'm going to kind of let you just hear a few of these sounds and give you an idea of what we're going for. And I'm going to build the pack for free the same way I built the pack for sale. And you can buy the pack at the store, or you can join the Afro DJ Mac Music Production Club and get all these sounds as long as you're joining in January 2019. And there's quite a large range of sounds here. I'm just going to let you hear a few. And we've got some controls over here to make the sounds a little more customized to your liking. And we've got a little arpeggiator that we can turn on here. And maybe one more, and then we'll get into it. My keys. And these were all made by sampling different synths that I programmed to make these little pluck sounds. So what I've got set up, as you can see, is a Moog Sub Phatty, a really nice analog synthesizer that we're going to use to make all these sounds. So I'm going to turn off our little plucks channel and get our Moog channel going. And right now I've got this as a pretty much default triangle wave on one oscillator. And the fastest way really to get these pluck sounds is to start playing around with your amplifier envelope. So I'm going to bring the sustain down and give us about like 1 second of decay, a really fast attack. And we can do the same with the release, about 1 second. Now we're starting to get that kind of plucked sound. I'm going to just change the waveform a little bit. Kind of like this square wave just because it's kind of video game-ish. And now maybe we'll bring in the second oscillator a little bit here. I'm going to put this an octave higher. Maybe pull down the filter a little bit. And the next thing I think I want to do is use the filter envelope to give us a little movement on this pluck sound. And I've got the envelopes up here. So we're going to get this kind of like sound. Turn down the resonance a little bit so it's not quite as obvious. And what we could do is even bring in the sub a little bit. Bring in a little extra bottom there. Cool. And we'll use that as a starting point. We'll make our first instrument out of that little sound there. So I've got this MIDI clip here that's going to play 4 different notes at different octaves, and I'm going to record that on this audio track. So let's just call this Moog Slim so we know what we're getting. And we'll set its audio from to listen to this external instrument track, We can turn monitor off so we won't hear the signal twice. But you can see we're getting level now from the synthesizer. We'll have to record enable that. Maybe what we'll do, just for a little extra fun, is apply some effects to our Moog sound before we record it. And I'm feeling like a little chorus might be nice here. Make this just a little bit wider. Very nice. So let's record it. Perfect. And now we can just hear what we got. So we've got the Moog with the chorus on it being processed, which is kind of nice. We get this nice feeling to it. So, okay, just want to check my stream, make sure everything's going well here, and it looks like it is. And sounds nice. Okay. All right, that's cool. We got one sound. So maybe we'll make 3 of these in total, and then we'll put them inside a sampler, and we will then have some instruments that you can download for free from my website. So let's get back to our Moog. And maybe what we'll do is we'll take off the chorus. Something like kind of soft, slightly out of tune, so you can hear we get like just a little wavering in the tuning there. Gonna reduce the envelope amount a little bit. Just ever so slightly. That. Give us just a little bit of envelope on the filter, just so it gets a little bit more of like a thud in the beginning. And a little more sub. This one might work nicely as a bass sound. Try the multi-drive. We can get some heavy distortion kind of there, but I'm going to back it off a little bit. This is nothing. That's just a hint of growl. Nice. So let's put some effects on here, have a little bit of fun. I want to take a minute to just kind of give a little shout out to an effect I really like a lot, which is called Echo Melt. Echo Melt is made by, Psychic Modulation. Psychic Modulation. Really cool company. They make some nice synths and this really awesome effect. Echo Melt. Gonna just maybe pick a preset just to give you like some idea of like all the crazy stuff you can do. But Echo Melt is really nice if you want to sort of make your sounds a little broken and a little more lo-fi. And you know, if you've watched my stuff, you know I like things to sound broken. Just place an octave higher. Called weird modulation. And let's just see, what do we got in here for fun? tapey. That's a little too extreme, I think. So I don't know if I want to go quite as heavy and crazy as some of these sounds, but let's do like a tape dub. That's a send, so we might want to just back this off a little bit. Try turning off that echo a little bit. Turn on the chorus here. What I'm kind of just looking for is something to just give it a little bit of extra space. I think something like this might be pretty good, though I'm not sure I want so much delay on there. Because I think the delay would be a nice thing to have later on. You're not kind of married to it. I kind of like it like that. So let's go in and record this. So that might be too low, right? Just hear the sounds. Okay. I'm going to want these notes to just play back a little higher. So I'm just going to select them all. If I hold shift and press the up arrow, now it'll play them all an octave higher. And that sounds much better. That's what I'm looking for. So let's record these now. Some nice movement on those too. You can hear especially like these higher notes. Nice. Cool. So we got two different patches. We'll do one more. And what I think maybe the little takeaway of this whole thing can be for you is just how you can take your synths and then process them through some effects and come up with something totally new that you can have for your own productions. And you can kind of take like something like this Moog, which is right now monophonic and, you know, without any effects, and then dress it up as you like to have something new that you can play inside your computer and always have with you. Okay. So let's see. Let's play around here. Turn off our other oscillators. Maybe we'll use the noise a little bit. Maybe we'll play around with the hard sync here. Turn up our... We can even use the LFO if we want to kind of modulate our waves a little. Use that hard sync. I'm slowing down that LFO on. It's modulating our waveforms. Just giving us this nice movement. Sub a little bit. Okay, let's play around with some effects now. I feel like using some amp simulation. So I'm going to go in my audio effect racks and just pick out something here. I've got these different ones that I've made in the past. Let me try the old guitar amp. And as you can hear, this is just like totally changing what we had into something totally new. That's a buzzy, loud, distorted guitar. We got the VCR, that's always fun. I think I like the old guitar amp. There's a lot of reverb on this one. So I can go inside here and maybe reduce that a little bit. Make that a more high quality reverb. And you'd be surprised what happens when you change the speakers in your cabinet. Quite a lot of change. I kind of like that. So what we might just want to do is maybe roll back a little bit on the output on this dynamic tube here, because it looks like we're getting in the red. And maybe we will take this and put it in and see what we get. I'm going to pull that down just a little bit too. Lower our volume overall. And let's go ahead and record it. So I'm a little bit too high in the octaves here, so we'll bring them back down and we'll record another one. Nice. Okay, so we've got our different sounds here. That's a really nice one. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll make our own new plucks instrument. So I'm going to keep the shell that I have here with these different effects. I think they're kind of nice. And it'll give you a chance to see like what you can do with plucks when you have the full deal. I'm just going to delete that instrument that was in there. And I'm going to put in a sampler. I'm going to start with sampler. And here is sampler. Okay, get some of this stuff out of the way. And I'm going to make 3 of these. So maybe what we'll do, we'll rename this. We'll call this PLUCK Phatty after our synth, and then we'll come up with something after that. So I'm going to make 3 of these just so we have them ready to go and start dropping our samples in. So here's our first sample, which we can see here. And what I'm going to do is duplicate this 3 times and just set up our root notes for each one. But I can do that by holding down the Option key and just clicking over the key I want, which I believe is actually C1, and then this one would be C2, and then this would be C4. And now I can select them all, and I can go to Distribute Ranges Around Root Key, and Live puts everything together for me nice and neat. And we're going to have to actually trim our samples first. Let's do that. So our first sample really goes to about here. Then our second sample is going to start right here and end here. And our third one will go here. This is the tedious part, the time-consuming part, and probably the least fun part. But you got to do it, you know? It's part of the process. So I'm going to zoom in real tight, just make sure these notes start exactly when they should. That's pretty good. Yeah, we'll settle with that. And one more. This one can be a little bit closer. Sometimes the snap just doesn't let you get where you want, so I'm turning that off here. Okay, and yeah, that affects all of my samples, so we might just want to double check everything. Always important, because if you don't double check everything, you might find yourself with instruments that sound all weird when you're done. So let's give this a listen. We're going to have to turn off the Moog. Now I want my plucks to ring out the whole time, so I can just hit the key real fast. So I'm going to put the release up a bit. Now the fun thing that happens here is we've now got the ability to play polyphonically. And on top of that, we've also got all of the different effects that come within here. So this, let's put on just the arpeggiator so we can hear it. Cool, we got sound right there. Sounds really nice with the arpeggiator. When I turn the arpeggiator all the way to the left, it turns off. And as soon as you crank that knob a little bit, it turns on. And you adjust the rate, and it goes pretty crazy. You can change the style. And you also have control over octaves once you go inside the rack. Filter LFO on there, so it'll move for us, opening and closing. Nice. I think that sounds wonderful. Okay, this one, the second one, let's try that. We'll open up our sampler here, and I kind of think this was the sample I liked the best, but let's see how it turns out in the instrument. And that's one of the fun things about doing this is you don't really know how it's going to sound until you put it in the sampler. And I'm going to distribute ranges around root key. And we'll go into our sample here. Let's make sure I got the root keys right. Do. Let's minimize this. And again, we have to go through the process again. So we're just trimming our samples. And I'm going to turn off snap again so we don't have to double check. And we want the end point to be somewhere around there. Let's zoom in, make sure we like that. Okay, I could probably even bring that a little bit closer. Probably the same for here. And I want to do that because I'm going to be trimming these samples so I can make the files that you download as small as possible. And if I have a little bit of silence at the end of every sample, that's going to add up into being a bigger download, which is going to take up more space on your hard drive or your cloud or whatever it is you do to store your items. Nice. Now let's go back into our filter global area and just crank up the release so we get the full sounding of the note. And let's record enable it and see what happens. Yeah, let's see. I really like the wobbly sound here. And that's kind of what I was hoping we'd get by putting on that echo melt effect. Again, I find like the arpeggiator a nice way to just play around with the different sounds and the effects. Oh, something fun I forgot to tell you. If you turn the reverb time all the way up, it's going to engage the freeze function on the reverb. So I'm going to just do that. And now I let go of the notes, and I'm left with this almost like a pad sound at the end of my reverb. And this will play on forever. And this could be a really cool thing to record and make another instrument out of, or just use as like some sort of wash in the background of a track. You could chop it up, you could put other effects on it. Something like an auto pan could be fun. Let me turn this up. I don't know if you're getting stereo or not on this live stream, but what I'm about to do will make that not even matter. And we're just really putting like a tremolo effect on here. You know, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but you can have a little fun with that, and you just turn that off by reducing the time again. And then the freeze basically engages as soon as you get all the way to the rightmost value, which is 128. And you can see it in the reverb if I can get it in the frame. There we go. No, there we don't go. Where is my reverb? Okay, you see the freeze button here. It turns on as I get all the way to the right. I love doing that with my reverbs because I find that freeze just such a useful function. You can do it with delay too, but it's really a cool way to just get these like washes, you know, and it can be nice as like transitions between songs if you're performing live. So definitely a cool thing to give a give a try in your own music in production. So let's do this last one here. I'm gonna duplicate it 4 times. I will just stick with C1. I know with the octaves, I did change the octaves, but it's not really that big a deal, I don't think. We'll go into our sample view, just make sure we hit the right samples. You can see the root note down here too. It's a little bit easier than seeing it on here, but I find it easier to just click with the option to move my root note around wherever I need it. So select them all, right click, distribute ranges around root key. And now we'll just have to go in again one more time and do the tedious sample editing. The part that no one likes. But this is important. If you're if you leave too much space before the sample begins, when you play lower notes that are being pitched down, it will take a split second before the note actually starts playing. You won't notice it when you play higher notes, but as you play lower notes that play the sample back at a slower speed, you really start to feel the delay between when you hit a key and then when you finally hear the note. So like that would be a problem. So we're going to move it real close. I'll even go closer. There we are. Now we'll do... in our global, we'll put the release up again, and I think we have another sound completed. And again, like now we've got a polyphonic, you know, Moog. The debate continues. I grew up saying Moog. Moog. No, Moog. I grew up saying Moog, but I believe it's actually Moog. If you hear all that stretching on the delay, that's because I have the delay set to repitch mode. In case you're not aware of that, I'll show you that real quick. The ping pong delay, in this case, you right click, you get to choose the mode, little secret option there. Fade will give you much smooth jumps between reverb times. So you don't really hear anything. And if you go to, what's the other one called? Jump. Now you get like these little glitches. Which I think is kind of cool too. You know, again, it sounds like stuff's breaking, so I always like that. Things are too perfect these days. But repitch is kind of my favorite because it's like those analog tape delays. Alright, let's turn our arpeggiator on and mess around with this a little bit. Give ourselves another octave. keyboard. Lower it twice. Cool. And there we go. We got 3 pluck sounds. So we got this one, which we'll have to think of a name for. This one I love. This is beautiful. This is just really cool sounding retro-y synth. This one's pretty nice too. A little bit of flavor on each one. Maybe what I'll do for this one, we'll keep the ARP on, but I'm going to set the ARP style to be chords. We're getting this movement on the chords because we've got the octaves. Okay, and what I'll do last but not least, so that you can have this even if you are using Live Standard or Live Suite, is I'll just right click on my samplers here and I'm gonna convert sampler to simpler. Do that for all 3. And now these turn into simplers. If you are using Live Suite and you want the access to the sampler controls, you can right click it and get it to sampler too and have everything. And you know what? I'll show you one more little thing that I think is really cool. If you are a Live Suite user and you want to share these with someone else, one of the nice things about samplers, you do have like some extra modulation, some extra controls that you don't get inside of Simpler. For example, like the MIDI stuff. For instance, let's say like we want to put velocity to the filter. So we'll go to the filter frequency. We'll just turn this up a little bit. Now we don't have a filter really going yet, but we'll put one on now. Now we even got that right here. So depending on how hard you press it, that doesn't really matter if we got it right there, right? So let's pick something different. Let's do the filter drive. I might need to go in there and change my filter. There we go. So if we play a little softer, we get a more mellow filter and less drive. But if we play harder, get more drive, soft. And there's all kinds of modulation too here. So maybe we'll turn on LFO1, not LFO2, since it's already pre-mapped. We'll just give ourselves a tiny bit of filter movement, really slow. Just a little bit. Maybe even combine that with the LFO here. And then we got some interesting interaction between the filters. The one inside a sampler and the one inside of this audio effect rack, which I believe is just an auto filter. Yep. Okay, and then we can right click this, turn it back to a simpler, and those parameters stay intact, even though simpler doesn't have those parameters. So that's pretty cool. And there you have it. I'm going to save this. I'm not sure about this, but what we'll need to do is go back to sampler on these. And I'm just going to crop these samples. Crop each one. Right click, crop. Right click, crop. And what I'm doing is just getting rid of some of that silence that I don't need to make this whole thing a little bit smaller. So now we can put it back to simpler, go in here, go back to sampler for a second. It's nice you can go between these, no problem. We're going to crop, we're going to crop, and we're going to crop. And I will put this up on my website in just a few minutes. Probably if you're watching this video recorded, you can already download it, but it'll be at afrodjmac.com, and you can download these 3 sounds. These are in addition to what you get with plucks, so even if you already have plucks, I think we could cut that down a little. If you already have plucks, these are new sounds, so this is something for everybody, not just people that don't have it. And if you don't have plucks, maybe this will make you want plucks. That would be cool. If not, though, you've got something to play with as well. Crop this. And there we have it. 3 new sounds. So give me a few minutes and these will be up for your music making pleasure. Maybe if you're doing January 2019, you can put these to use and have some fun with them. So thanks a lot for watching. Get the full download at afrodjmac.com in the next few minutes. Thanks a lot. Take care.